I imagine that at this point in time, not too many people need an introduction to the trolley problem that gets used in ethics and also in moral psychology and other related fields, but we may as well do a little bit of review very quickly. So the classic trolley problem is a moral dilemma. You see that person there, and he's got a lever which changes the track that the trolley would run on. The trolley is by default running down the track where it will soon run over and kill 5 people. But if the person pulls the lever, he can save the day in a certain sense for at least those 5 people by having the trolley go and run over the other person who's tied to the track. The question then is, what should a person do when placed in such circumstances? The trolley problem has given rise to a lot of discussions in moral philosophy and in related fields, and it's also been an incredibly fertile spur, or what should we call it, catalyst for memes. And this is actually one of my favorite ones right here. Those of you who are up on meme culture will no doubt recognize the "this bad boy can fit so much X in it" meme going on here. And I think that this is really fitting for the trolley problem because there's people who've made whole careers out of it. I actually don't think it's that great of an example or dilemma myself, but I can recognize that you can sure get a lot of mileage out of it. Here's the second meme, and this actually ties into a variant of the trolley problem in which you don't switch the tracks, but instead push a fat person off of a bridge onto the tracks, thereby stopping the trolley but producing that person's death in order to save the other 5 people. And I kind of like this one because it doesn't say, well, do you push the fat guy off? Instead it says, well, you're a fat guy or a fat person. Do you push the fat person off, or do you jump yourself? And that's actually one of the possibilities in that variant of the problem, at least if you're somebody sizable like myself. Here's meme number 3, and I particularly like this one, and this is why I selected it, because it frames things in terms of utilitarianism, which is one of the standard approaches to these sorts of problems, right? But in this case, it points out one of the issues that arises. So it says, Michael experiences pain and pleasure far more intensely than normal people do. You see, Michael just loves killing people, and the joy it brings him outweighs the suffering he causes by far. As utilitarians, we surely need to agree with his decision to pull. And this illustrates one of the big problems with utilitarianism that often gets talked about as a person being a utility monster. If we're going to measure things in terms of utility, meaning the overall pleasure and pain, what do we do about people who have extraordinarily high levels of enjoyment in things that we would say aren't particularly good? Well, that doesn't help us solve this one now, does it? Here's another interesting trolley problem meme that is playing around further with utilitarian ways of thinking about this, and maybe also bringing up some deontological ones as well. Here's the situation. They say 5 people have been put in a medical coma and secured in a device that, when triggered by the passing trolley, will cause precision brain damage such that they will be reduced to the state of a contented infant. They will be well cared for and unaware of their change in mental state. On the top track is one person who is fully conscious and will get the full gruesome death by trolley experience should you pull the lever. Do you pull the lever? So what do we got here? We've got the 5 versus 1, but it's no longer 5 deaths versus 1 death. Now it's people who are going to wind up in a state that they don't even, recognize the change in it, and they don't perceive any damage being done to themselves. It seems that from a utilitarian perspective, we'd probably actually prefer that the 5 undergo that than that the 1 undergo the gruesome death. But if we look at it from other perspectives, we might say, well, we're transgressing some rights. So this is an interesting little wrinkle on it, isn't it? Meme number 5 that I selected is even funnier, I think. At least if you enjoy dark humor. So there's a mad scientist who's obsessed with trolley problems, and he's devised one and given you the lever. The trolley will run over 5 people, but if you divert it, it will instead travel back in time and kill Philippa Foot before she can propose the original trolley problem do you pull. And of course, if we consider this from a utilitarian perspective, it's really no different than any other one. But the fact that we are playing around with time travel and saying maybe we'll destroy trolley problems altogether by eliminating the person who originally formulated it. There's something else going on there that's kind of funny. Number 6 shows us the adaptation of one dilemma to another dilemma, both of which are you could say 20th century classic dilemmas. This has to do, of course, with Sophie's Choice, where a woman is given the choice of whether her one child or another child will die, and is told if she doesn't choose, then both will die. And there's a way of representing this in terms of trolley problems. So you can divert the trolley towards your son or towards your daughter. If you choose neither, both of them will die. What do you pick? And this is indeed a terrible dilemma to be placed in. From a utilitarian perspective, you'd have to pick one of them, but from a deontological perspective, you might end up having both of them die because you refuse to choose. Now, this is a really interesting and telling one, I think. So you've got 5 people lined up on the tracks either way, and you've got the lever, and the default is that the trolley rolls over 5 people that you love, and you can change it to run over 5 people that love you. So starting off, who do you value more, the people that you love yourself or people that love you? The same issue of whether you pull the lever or not comes up here as well, and it's not clear exactly how you should decide between 5 of one and 5 of another. I think to some people it might seem kind of a no-brainer. Well, obviously you should save the people that you love, or else you don't really love them. Why would you pick people who love you instead? But it's kind of an arbitrary thing. Maybe you don't love them for the right reasons, or, it's very subjective, isn't it? Just the mere fact that you happen to love these people is a reason to give them priority. Here's a particularly funny variant of it. Obviously, there's no trolley yet there. You've just got you. People are hanging out on the train tracks you usually hang out on. Do you ask to join the large group, which seems more fun, join the singular person for a more intimate connection, or does your social anxiety force you to just go home? Obviously, if your social anxiety does that, you're better off. You can evade the problem altogether, but otherwise it looks like you're going to be stuck there on the tracks with somebody, and the good that you thought you were generating, well, it's in the hands of somebody else who maybe will flip the lever or won't. For number 9, I thought that I would select one that actually has 9 different parts to it, and this is, I think most of you will recognize, an alignment chart that's originally coming from D&D, but has been turned into so many other things in meme culture. So let's run our way through all these different alignments. We got lawful good, I want to save you, but I cannot commit murder, so they don't pull the lever. Neutral good, I will save you even if I have to go to prison for this, taking it on themselves. And then chaotic good, a good deed every day, saving the 5 people by tripping the lever and killing the 1. Lawful neutral, keeps their hands off of it, says sucks to be you. Chaotic neutral, heads I'll switch, tails I won't. That as in fact what a chaotic neutral person would be like. And then true neutral, notice they're not even in the thing. They don't take any position whatsoever. I think it gets really interesting when we get down to the evil part, because usually with these trolley memes, the assumption is that we're trying to do as little harm or as much good as possible, or we're not trying to not break some deontological norm or something like that. So lawful evil, go trolley go. They're going to stick with the situation as set up, but they're cheering it on. Neutral evil says, hello, police, there's been an accident. No problem, I can wait here. Should I use the lever so that the ambulance trolley can safely approach on the upper track? They're going to create even more damage to other people. Finally, chaotic evil, multi-track drifting. Multi-track drifting is when you screw around with the lever in such a way that the trolley will go down both and kill everybody. So this is kind of an interesting meme for it as well. So this 10th trolley meme is a really great way to end this first consideration of all the many memes that are out there. And I think it's really quite brilliant. In every version of the trolley program, you always know how many people are tied to both tracks. You can tell where the train is headed, and you can tell what will happen when you pull the lever. Who told you about these facts? Nobody. So what's the conclusion? You tied those people. You set up the situation. You are the villain of the trolley problem. Alistair McIntyre points out in one of his essays that whenever we have a genuine moral dilemma, it's always because somebody in the backstory screwed something up in some fateful way. And I think we can see trolley problems as an example or a set of examples of that sort of dynamic. And we should think about our fascination with these problems, the fact that we're constantly generating more and more variants of these and piling new memes on top of other memes, and that these proliferate. What is our fascination with tying people to train tracks and then coming up with all sorts of ideas about what's going to happen to them and who's going to decide on what basis what's going to happen? So these are, some interesting, thought-provoking questions to consider. These are just 10 out of the vast variety of trolley problems that I've seen myself, and I know there's got to be hundreds more out there that I haven't seen, and people are constantly generating them. So if you really got a kick out of this, I'm game for creating more 10 trolley problem memes with a little bit of explanation or examination of them. So, you can leave a comment or give it a thumbs up or whatever it is that you want to do. Maybe share it on some of the sites where people kick these problems around, and I'll keep at it.